Hello.
I feel so connected to you.
That is so amazing. Thank you so much, Claude, for joining me. I am so grateful to have you on my podcast as a first guest, and I couldn't think of anybody else to be with me on the first time together. And as I was preparing this, I was like, okay, like we can talk. And while I didn't want us to like be constructed in like a structure or anything, I kind of wanted to like hone down into like some subjects that we can actually like bounce ideas back and forth. And the other thing that I was thinking, I was like, okay, we'll have to be mindful because we've been French Englishing the entire time we're together. So I was like, okay, we have to be mindful and if we catch each other, then we'll catch each other if we actually slip into French, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
And the reason
It
why I
is.
wanted
Yeah.
the reason why I wanted you to be the first guest, it's because you've been such a big piece catalyst on my personal council of trusted people through a very significant part of my life.
It is not only a privilege, it's delicious to be here this morning. The delicious, we talk a lot about food together, but it is really not only an honor and a privilege, it's such a delicious moment spending with you, connecting. And yes, we can talk forever. And I like that there's, many subjects you want to bring on. And I might slip a bit of French, but I'm going to be mindful about it. So let's enjoy this moment and savor it because it is very, very, very delicious.
It is. It is. So, Claude, you've been in I'm going to say we've been connected in the ethers for quite some time, right? Just to put the listeners in context, several years ago, I bought a package there was different like trainings, and usually I buy these packages because there's like how to make, fermented food or how to for medicinal plant and stuff like that. And in the package, there was one of your training, which is the imposter syndrome training.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting because I watched it because it was part of the package, but what stayed with me is your energy. It's this energy that you have, and I was like, she's pretty cool. She's really cool. Like I can like, and even my husband, who never does any of those things, he actually did the training with me, and he even did the test, which is kind of interesting. And it was like I kind of like her. She has a nice vibe. And when I moved to Germany, the first months were quite something. And when we moved where we live right now, and back in June of last year, so June 2022, I kind of like took a little break. And I was, okay, like now that my life is like my personal life is kind of settling down, I'm going to be ready to work on my business.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to need a business coach because I don't want to do this alone. Like I can do this, but I don't want to do this alone. And like the whole like when the student is ready, the master appears, which is kind of interesting. You appear on my feed on Facebook. Like I didn't even know we were friends on Facebook, which is kind of interesting as well, right?
It's crazy, the synchronicities, because our souls met, but physically we didn't meet, yeah.
And I went this week, I was preparing for this, I went back and I actually pulled out the post and I translated it in English, obviously. And I remember that I felt like I was like, I'm going to need a business coach, but I don't feel like anybody can have me. Like, I don't feel like, how am I going to find somebody that can be strong with me, that it's like I've been dealing with so much stuff around me, like within and without, and like, because this whole moving to Germany had impacted a lot of people around me, and not a lot of people were very happy.
Yep, and yet you still did it. This is what amazes me. Yeah, you still did it.
Yeah, I kind of, yeah. Une tête de cochon on my head. But so this is the post, and I think that the listeners are gonna understand a little bit more why I chose you. So this was July 15, 2022. And this is what you wrote. Just yesterday, I was 14. Just yesterday, I departed from my native country and landed in Mirabel on July 15, 1987. Not realizing that I had, by the mere act of leaving my naivety, entered the arena of life. I departed from Lebanon with a numb heart and mind, as if this departure wasn't real, uprooting me from my supposed cozy comfort, which in reality was far from being cozy. From the first night, I realized that I was once again going to grow up much too quickly, and that circumstances were going to swallow me whole. 35 years later, I am able to say thank you to my dad for bringing us here. Despite spending 20 years in the arena, just trying to avoid being completely devoured, I have learned to stand up, to survive, to fight, to create a world worthy of my identity, which was forged 1 minute at a time. I took care of my little sister. I helped my mother by contributing $300 a month at the age of 15. I met my financial and emotional needs. I continued despite fears, scarcity, and insecurity. I faced daily challenges with an anxiety disorder. And at 35, irony of numbers, I decided to leave the arena and live. I have bandaged and healed every bit of my soul. Today, I am the real Claude, the one you see and meet. And thank you to the people of Quebec for giving me a special place in your life.
People can't see us, but my face is just full of tears because I did not know that was the post you were talking about. You didn't tell me. I had no idea. And I really thought it was more of a post about, coaching or whatever. And this is a throwback to a very, very vulnerable moment. But I so wanted to give hope to people because from where I went and where I am today is actually like a new person, a new life, even though I'm still me. This is the odd thing. I am still me. And I think this is exactly where we connected. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for reading this. You just reminded me of that beautiful moment when I was writing that, text, these words, and how much they meant to me. Thanks.
You're welcome. So here I am, and I look at this and I'm like, okay. Hello again.
Wow.
And this was a few days before the prosperity challenge, right? So I entered the prosperity challenge, and at that point you were talking about financial DNA and everything, but you were also talking a lot about identity.
Yes.
And I went into I signed up for the prosperity challenge, and the point was to observe, how you were interacting with people and your vibe and your energy, and during the prosperity challenge, I was like, okay, that's it. She's it. So I booked a call with you, right? And what did I tell you? Do you remember? I want to know what you remember that I told you.
I really remember you saying the same thing as what you said a couple of minutes ago, saying, I don't want to do it alone, but I am looking for someone not far from me, next to me. Like the next to me was really very important. The details, I don't remember. Maybe these words you didn't choose, but this is what I got from it. And I was flabbergasted because this was the first time I had a client that did so much work on her. And I was like, wow, this is going to be so much fun. It's like you come from a different planet. And I'm like, I love this. It was really the first time I had a deep conversation on that level that was right next to me. Like we were having a conversation that was so flowing energetically. The connection was just like, I was really flabbergasted because I manifested clients like you, and here you show up.
Well, this is what I actually think that is amazing. And that's why I wanted to read that post, because we were looking for each other. We were really looking for each other. And when I remember over that conversation, I said, listen, I know who I am. I've done the work. I don't want to go, because you have two programs. So just for the listener, you have the Je suis, which is the I am, which is like the groundwork of identity. And then you have, you were kind of like, I think it was the first cohorts of unlimited expansion, which was more like how to bring that identity to your business, right?
Yes.
And I was like, I know that you have this, but I don't want to be in a group. I don't have time for this. Like, I've been doing so much stuff like for immigration, for like all kind of like, I want to quantum leap. I know who I am, and I want to have like powerful conversations. So are you in? You were like, yeah, I'm in.
Oh yeah. I didn't want you in a group because it didn't fit. It didn't fit at all. It was the mismatch. So for me, it was private mentorship and this bond and close, intimate relationship that we built together. Wow, it was awesome.
So, which kind of brings me to, because even in like I've had mentorship before, mostly coach, and when I hired you, I think that I actually used the words as a coach, like a business coach. But from what you're basically telling me, what I was saying was I was ready for a mentor. I was really ready for that kind of relationship. And right off the bat, I was like, listen, this is the boundaries that I need. We even, added some little things in our contract. You remember that, right?
Yes.
And from the get-go, everything was clear. And what I wanted more than anything else was a space that I was going to co-create with somebody that was not there to hold me because I couldn't hold myself. It was like we were bridging a whole bunch of stuff together, and we were going to create something. And you have been one of, like, there's stuff that I've said to you that, nobody knows. Well, maybe my husband, most likely, because we have a very amazing relationship. But it's kind of weird because I have friends that are very close and we talk to each other, and like, but it was like, and it was really cool because I felt safe and you felt safe, and we were having all these conversations, and I actually, for the first time, really was opening up in the vulnerable parts of me, because all the work that I had done before was kind of like I was opening a little door just so the person could actually see. But like now I was like, okay, like this is all me. And this is all me and all the stuff. Like when I was going through triggers, I was telling you, when you were when you were giving me feedback, you were actually saying, you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but
the relationship was based on boundaries in the beginning, which I loved, because once you start putting boundaries in your life, you meet people who can put their boundaries. You cannot accept you putting boundaries and people around you don't. This is very selfish and immature. So I was ready. I was ready to have clients that know themselves so much in order to communicate to me their own boundaries. I was so ready for this because it makes me grow as a person, as a mentor, as a woman, as a mom, as a, wife, girlfriend, whatever. So I was ready for you. When you started putting your boundaries, I'm like, yes, check, confirm. This is what I love. This is the maturity that I really want to build on. Second, there was safety and security. We felt that we can say anything because we trusted that the intention is gold, is always good for the other one. And I was able to tell you things and you were able to tell me things, and it was always received in such a mature way, even though it was triggering.
Yes.
And this is the level up. And once you put the standard to that level, you don't want anything else in your life. You don't accept anything less than. And it creates quantum leaps. The depth, the intimacy that we had, it was more than just a mentor and her, her student or whatever. It was
Protege.
It's like,
I love that word.
Wow.
And I didn't like, I came in like, I came into the relationship saying like, I want somebody, but you, that's the thing, you gave me that. You said, okay, good. I felt, because I had to, after we came here, I actually had to build myself back up in many, 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 many ways. And I know that my self-esteem kind of got a hit. But at no time I fell into a victim state. Like I remember like some things were happening and my husband was like, how can this, like, and I was like, I'm owning this. Like, it's difficult, it's shitty, but I'm not a victim. Like I've been leading myself up until this point, and we're gonna lead ourselves through this, right? And I believe in unconditional love. Even if I have in my life had supported evidence of it, but let's just say that it's scarce next to the rest. And you give me that. You gave me unconditional love, not in a, like, you just saw me.
So interesting that you bring this unconditional love thing, because they teach us you cannot give unconditional love except for your kids, for your children, and all this. And it's very interesting where you're going, because something hits inside of me. And once you start to have unconditional love for yourself, and this is going to sound very cliche, the thing is, once you mature enough, you are accountable of anything that's happening in your life, anything, any tragedy, any good, any success. I am responsible of the way I react for all of this. And you really level up the conversation, the relationships, the people around you. There's no other way than conditional love, because it's pure. You eliminated the parasites. And when I say parasites, I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about their patterns, their victim status. It's not the soul. It's not people. Once you eliminate this, what is left? Pure love, pure safety, pure consciousness, pure. And this is where I really felt every day when I got your messages, because you're in Europe and I'm in Quebec, so your messages were always coming. It was night for me, but I was receiving all of this even in my sleep. That period was so special you say you grew so much out of it, but I grew because I had proof of everything that I had wanted and manifested and desired. It was proof right there that I was living the dream. That's why I said in the beginning, it is so delicious, because once you taste that, you don't want anything else. And I up-leveled my business with you. As you said you wanted to start this podcast with the first invitee as me, and I started really recognizing the value of this relationship and mentorship with you.
That's because we've had these conversations throughout, like, because you were telling me, like, you're my gold client. Like, I want more of yous in their own uniqueness, but I want more of yous. Like, so I remember, like, we were leaving each other messages, like, on, like, like, the words that we actually, like, use, like, what are because a lot of things it's something in marketing, we all, and we're going to talk about that, because, like, we're just business. In marketing, we always say, like, oh, there's three, like, different, like, areas. Like, there's the money, there's the health, and there's the relationship. And it's BS. Because
beyond that, it's like,
but, like, it's all about relationship to yourself. Like, it's all about there. Like, the work is within, right? Like, so once you start to peel all of these layers, and then see where you're evolving, then when you want to talk to the person, is like, where is she in her system of belief, so we can resonate, so we can actually enter in a resonance and go from there. Yeah. And what I find amazing with you, and that's why I think it's important, is the conversation that we were having about this was not, I want more clients. The conversation was, I want to evolve myself and continue to co-evolve, co-create with people like you. So how can we talk to each other? And that's why I was, we were having these conversations. Yeah. Avatar, business, golden client, bullseye. Yeah.
Exactly. And you say in marketing, we talk about relationship or health or money, mindset, whatever. And I realized, and it came only this, a couple of months ago in my business, who am I? Like, as a coach, you need to, sometimes they ask you like what kind of coach you are. And you said, I was looking for a business coach, and I don't consider myself as a business coach. And I'm like, am I a relationship coach? No. Am I a mindset? Yeah, I work the mindset, but it's only a fragment of what I do. Mm-hmm. I work for abundance, yes, your archetypes and what's holding you back. And I realized, actually, when you go back to who you are when you were a kid, naturally a kid. My parents used to say, you are too sensitive, you feel everything. And I felt the soul. I really did feel souls around me. I felt the strong connection to the beautiful behind the human being and their conditioning. So it came up last summer, and you wrote something on a post, and you said, yes, you are. And I said, I'm a soul coach. And you said, yes, you are. And this is where I found really myself. I was looking for like a title, and I don't like titles, and I don't like, square stuff. And we're both like that. We love, the liberty and expansion and all this. But the soul coach resonated so much because this is what I see. My soul vibrates a lot. And once I connect to the soul, the rest, we peel it bit by bit, and it's so easy. Some people try to peel before connecting to the soul. You're just peeling something that is not really, there's nothing to fall back on. Mm-hmm. But once the safety and the connection and I see you and you see me, the rest, it can just fall down.
Exactly.
You had a bit sometimes around you, a closed, wall, a huge wall sometimes, because there are some things very sensitive, very disturbing that, you've lived. And sometimes you would just take off one little brick and you would let me in so I could see inside. This
But
is
I was,
how delicate it was.
and it was only possible because of the safety and the love, the unconditional love, that I was like, you know what, I feel like anything that I'm gonna unravel, unveil, reveal in this space, I was not going to be judged, or I was not going to have projection. Because that's one thing, when we left Canada, and I think that in our life we all have people projecting a whole bunch of stuff on us, but when we embark on big changes in our lives and we uproot our life, it kind of like has a lot of ripple effect on other people.
Totally.
And people with their system of belief, their patterns, their reaction patterns, they actually like do a whole bunch of stuff. And you have to be able to stand tall and like be able to see why you're doing this. I when one of the first times, that's where I'm going with this, you saw me so clearly that there's one, I don't even think that I said anything, but you said something and I was like, nah, we're not looking under that rock yet. I know that that's where I'm going, but we're not this, just no.
Yeah. You respected yourself. This is the boundaries that I'm talking about.
Yeah. And the rock that we're talking about is I know that I am called to help people go through change. And the biggest change that we have to go through as we live on is to the next, whatever is afterwards, right?
Yes.
And you saw that, and I was like, I need, there's so much processing. I know that's where I'm going. I feeling in my body that's where I'm going, but I'm not there yet. There's so many things that I need to figure out and to integrate, right? Like, and then you said, okay, like, let's just, work on other stuff. Let's just, and you let me lead and co-lead in all of this.
This is what I was saying in the beginning, is I had somebody next to me. I was guiding her, but she was guiding me to guide her. How can I guide somebody with my projections or my view of her life? What I loved about you is you are so sovereign do we say this, sovereign in English?
Yeah.
Okay. Sovereign in your own way of seeing yourself, knowing yourself, seeing in the future, and you hold it, like you don't budge. And this is very powerful for somebody who is building, a business, who moved and building her relationship in a new environment with your husband, with your clients, with your father who's, in Quebec. All of this, I reminded you every time how strong you were. Just a reminder sometimes, because sometimes we feel that everything is crumbling around us. And it's just a reminder, because the way I saw you is this strong, vulnerable, courageous woman who made decisions and stuck by them. And you were able to say the no. This is what I need, because as a coach or a mentor, or call it whatever, or guide, there is still projections. I see things that you might not want. And this is where I saw that we leveled up together. I was really yearning for this kind of relationship, because I always had people around me that would say, oh yeah, it's so nice what you're saying. Oh yeah, this is an idea. And I realized that it came from me, because I wasn't leveling up my relationships. So people were always admiring what I was saying. And it was a part of my ego that needed so I was really subconsciously going to immature relationships to feel good about myself. But the day your ego to be fed or shined or whatever, and you just want the authentic conversation, this is when you showed up. It's very hard to level up that way. Is your ego has to be tamed and just understood that it's not your turn to shine now. It's my soul that needs to shine.
But and it's also, what I've been, because I have my own, you win, I win, we all win.
Yes.
And it's interesting because I read the post, and I like the whole, like, there's not, like, you do say it, but like, I had compassion for me, compassion for you, compassion for the animals, compassion for, like, I had this like motto.
Yes.
And when I feed me, then I can feed you, and we can all level up.
Yeah.
But if we actually enter into relationship with a skewed intention or unresolved issues, or and this is not something that is actually conscious, right? Like, we're not doing it like consciously, like we're right. And a lot of the time, this is the other thing that is amazing with the relationship that we've had, that I don't have a lot, and I think that the world needs more of this. And I think that because like I do have that with my husband, but he's the only person that I have that sense of view, is when we came together in resonance, and resonance is all nice because it validates, right?
Yes. I love where you're going with that.
And we can bathe in resonance forever and ever. However, comes a day where there's diversion of opinion, where what I think and what I feel in my body is not the same that what you do. And I think that a lot of time relationship goes skew because we actually don't know how to hold that in unconditional love. And you said, like, I don't want to sound like cliche here, but it is that, like, a lot of people are telling me, and like last year when things happened, like after 70 years and now what's going on, like, people are saying, like, how can there still be conflict in 2023? And I'm like, how can this not be, when each of us can't even deal with our own inner conflict, let alone the ones that we have outside with the people that we love? How can we not be in conflict?
This is
in 2023?
Crazy, because when we're matching, the energy and everything, it feels so good. It's easy. It flows. And as soon as we diverge in opinion, this is where resentment starts. This is where the darkness, the dark cloud, the thinking, and who does she think she is? And why is she saying this to me? And ego rises like from the ashes, even though, the rat, I call it the rat. George, he has a name now. It's George. So sorry about the Georges. Sorry. Let's, George with a different way of writing it, so it's not the same as anybody else. And this is where I saw in you that I can tell you anything. You can tell me anything, because we know that it is my issue if it resonates in the wrong way. And this is where I talk about the intention is so pure. The intention is so pure. There's no doubt about it. Because when you start doubting the intention, it clouds everything. Your judgment, the love, everything. So anything that happens inside of me, doesn't matter what happened outside of me, anything that happens inside of me, it is my responsibility to deal with. And this is where relationships can grow so much, You know, you came to Montreal, I saw you. We had some little things that you told me and I told you, and we were always connecting and loving and creating light around our relationship because it matters as much to me as to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, for me, it was sacred. And I think that it's just, it, when we're able to talk about the hard stuff, then we can actually really have a conversation that moves forward. And if the goal in the relationship, in any relationship, whether it's with us, whether it's a professional relationship, am I trying to win the argument in a finite mindset, or am I in this to play over and over and over again? Like, what's the long term? And once we switch that when it switches, then we see how the finite mindset, like the winning damages the relationship towards us, damages the relationship. So we have to flick the switch basically and say, okay, like, this is a process. I'm learning, like, oh, hold on a second, like, because it's all nice and dead. Like, we can all meditate for all day long, but if we don't have anything to like push back,
exactly,
then, you know, like, it's all roses and petals, and like, but you're never strengthening anything, you know, like, there's a reason why there's so much, muscle loss for astronauts that go at the space station. We need something,
the resistance.
We need something to resist so we can actually build muscle. And what happens, and I actually, because I want to talk about your I Am program. I didn't take the I Am program, but I see what the work that you're doing with women, and I know you, and I know that it's important. A lot of people are like, okay, like, I'm going to build muscle, but there's no safety. Like, okay, I want to get into, let's say, I wanted to get into shape, so I spend 9 hours at the gym. Well, 9 hours straight at the gym is not gonna, but if you spend 10 minutes, 5 minutes every single day for a long period of time, then you're gonna build something. And then we can actually put more resistance and more resistance. And as we do that, we're building strength and confidence, and we're actually building a scorecard so we can look back and say, hey, hold on a second. Because for me, like, yes, like, I have personal power. Like, I know that I have drive, and it's kind of interesting because there's one picture that you sent me and I didn't realize, but I was scrolling down and you actually said there's so much, it's a picture of me when I was like 21. Oh. And you said there's so much grit in that face. And I do have grit.
Oh yeah. Totally.
I knew that I had courage, but this experience of coming to Germany and of holding myself when I had no other outside anchors or pillars or nothing. Even like, there's a part of that process that even my husband was going into something he didn't even have the bandwidth to like hold apart, let alone like acknowledge that I was actually like, I had nothing else than within me.
And a lot of this. You've built this over the years, brick by brick, you've built this. So you can rely on this. When we say you had grit, is since you were a child, you've been building the pillar inside of you. And this is the work of a lifetime, and remembering when you're in a relationship with anybody, remembering when I say I win, you win, we win. It's more than that. It's about when you're talking about the art, because I just want to go back to the argument that you were talking about. Sometimes the argument, we lose the sense of we. We're happy as a we, as long as it's good. As soon as it's not good, it's me. Me and you and me and you. It's not about us. And this is something we share is when we tell our partner or whatever, somebody, hey, we're it's us, we're a team, not forgetting the us. And it's the same. I'm going to bridge towards what you're saying about the relationship with yourself. Hey, it's us. When your inner child, when your ego, when your part of you is hurting so much and you just want to give up, it's about me and this, and I don't feel good. And it's going inside and creating the us. This is the I am, the us. And this is what you have been building, a relationship with yourself. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a pillar outside. It's amazing to have it.
It's a bonus.
But yes, but when there's nothing, do I crumble and dissolve and just disappear? Oh no. So this is where what you were talking about, the relationship with yourself.
Yes, and your program I Am is about building that and building, because you say I belong to myself first.
Yeah. To my own clan.
To my own clan. My clan. Not like my clan, your clan, but I got me. You know, like we've been like, because in mentorship spaces, we're like, I've got me. And then when I actually go into a relationship, it's a clean interdependence.
Yes.
It's clean, or as you know, like
I choose this relationship. I choose. I'm not dependent, and I'm not dependent at all, because as a human being, I love connecting with people, but now I choose people from the clan that I have created for myself. So I know the taste, I know the smell, I know the feeling. So I vibrate. Because why did I create the I Am? Because I had no idea who the hell I was. I was just lost. And the day I really sat down, really sat down, I said, okay, Claude, let's begin the dating experience of knowing who you are, what you like, what is it that is inside of you that is aching, that is beautiful. And, you know, sometimes we talk, well, sometimes, a lot of times we see the inner child, the healing the inner child. I see, yes, the healing, the wounded inner child, but I see the talented child.
This is something you talk about a lot.
Yeah, I see the most gorgeous human being soul that she is. Not only I'm there because you're hurting. Yes, I am there because you're hurting, but I'm making sure that you can flourish in your talent, and I'm making sure that you have time to explore your talent and who you are. And I realized I had so many talents, even though I thought I was invisible, no color, no smell, no nothing. And I realized that who I am, the I am, is beyond words. Beyond words.
It's interesting when the interdependent is, because a lot of time people either go, they're trying to fill a void, right? So that's why the codependence relationship, and then we enter into relationship for all kinds of reasons, and then it doesn't work, obviously, because like we're not there out of a clean space, and then we actually build one. We're like, well, I'm just going to be alone and do alone, you know. But we're social animals, we're social beings, we're supposed to be connected with each other. We thrive on that, we're built on that. Like we're, all of our brain cells, all of our body cells thrives on that. So like, and what I found interesting and what I loved about you was that as much as personal power we can build, sometimes it's actually nice to put ourselves in a place where the circumstances allows us to just breathe, right? So it's the up level version of like, let's build the resistance, like the strength with the resistance in a safe space. Like, because when I entered with a relationship with you as a mentor, I was like, I can hold myself, but like I need a break at some point, because like I like, I'm human, right? Like there's a human part of me. And I was thinking, and this is very interesting, and this is where I really think that people are missing sometimes the point. We don't know what we don't know. And when we have never experienced what it is to have that strength inside, or to be in a relationship, or to interact with the outer world in a positive, nourishing, constructive way, we have no idea that it exists. And a lot of times we're looking at people that do it, and they're like, oh yeah, but it's so easy for that person. Well, I'm telling you, we're actually just like a couple of months of like non-sleeping from reverting back to that. And and this is why it's always like, you know, it needs to be on the forefront, because like, even if ego is good as at taking everything to serve its purpose, even spirituality, ego will use anything to its own purpose.
Of course.
And I remember last year, after everything that was like, so before we actually got together, before we moved here in March, April, I was such in a bad place that I was seeing sides of me, or like reactions to circumstances that were so old patterns that I actually didn't even know that they were still there. But the thing is, they're still there in the sense that if we're putting you in a survival situation, you're going to survive, right? Like, you're going to survive. Now, some of us will survive with more dignity or not, like, but, and I was like, and I actually even caught myself saying like, but why would I be the biggest person here? Why do I always have to be the biggest person?
Well, when we're exhausted, this is the first thing that comes to our mind is, why do I always have to be the bigger person, the big container that contains everybody? And it nourishes the frustration.
Mm-hmm.
It brings us up from sadness or victim. It's like I go up in mad,
anger,
or I get anger, I get mad or angry. It helps actually to get out of your state. It's a stepping stone towards something else.
Exactly. And then I was like, because I knew what it feels like otherwise, I actually said, oh, wait a second, because this is not who I am.
Yes.
This is not who I am. So let's go back. Let's find that back before,
because the taste. When you're hungry and starving, there's a McDonald's on every freaking corner. You're starving, even though it's not aligned with who you are and the health and everything. You're just gonna stop and eat a hot dog or a McDonald's or whatever. But the real you tasted something better, tasted salmon or tasted tofu or whatever, something more healthy, avocado, whatever. So you'll remember to go back to that, and allowing ourselves sometimes to feel like a victim. You snap out of it so much quicker.
Yes.
I see when I'm in it, and I ask myself, do I want to stay a bit more? Yes, I need it. Okay, I'm going to bitch, and I'm going to feel like I'm okay. Is it enough, Claude? No, not yet. And I really talk to myself that way. Is it enough? No, not yet. I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. I really feel like a victim, and I want to let it out. And you snap out of it so much quicker when you allow that inner child having a tantrum to have his tantrum while guiding him, her, whatever, to snap out of it. Once you allow also, up leveling and going to a mature relationship with yourself. But somebody who's never tasted
exactly
the avocado or the safety, or this is where you need to build your inner clan, yourself. And this is what you're saying, because once you don't know anything, you don't know it. You just don't know it. So you're looking for a Subway or a McDonald's or whatever. But if you've never tasted a meal that is so healthy and makes your body thrive and makes your body feel energetic and vital, and you don't know. You just keep doing and repeating the same thing.
The same thing, right? And every time you go to a McDonald's, you feel like
Crap.
afterwards. But if you never tasted anything else, and if you never felt in your body anything else, then you just think that that's what it is, right? And the work that you're doing with women, I want to talk about the work that we're doing with women, because the women that come to your world, I mean, I think that the grand majority through the I Am program are in that state. Like they haven't tasted, they actually don't even know it exists.
They have an idea and they believe that it exists. These are the women that really come to me. Some of them are just for show, listening, they're not grasping, and it's okay. I was there for a long time. So I welcome them to listen to, and whenever the aha moment comes, okay. But the aha moment is when somebody like you, when you contacted me, these women, they know it exists, they have faith, but they've never seen it, tasted it, touched it. So they come in and they say, I heard of it, I want it. These are the women that want to connect with this extraordinary part of them, the sublime part of them, take care of the part that they have been rejecting, to be able to love themselves and up-level their relationships, put boundaries like you did. We have the same profile, even though we're not the same people. The profile is we hate conflict, we like pleasing, we lived in survival mode, not necessarily financially or whatever, like emotionally. We thrive on helping and supporting, and we give so much. And the womanship, the essence of the womanship is what? Is I win, you win, we win. So every woman, if she finds her inner peace, her own clan, and then we join together, imagine what we can do in this world. So they come to me having the faith, but never have tasted it or experienced it. And they're like, I freaking want it now. These are the women that come to my world.
I love that you're talking about faith. I really do, because we've talked about this, right? For me, it's never been a question. Like, I was never questioning that God, source, universe had my back. I come from a religious family, like, and although I don't practice religion, I'm a very spiritual person. And one thing that I always knew is I got my back, right? And this whole experience kind of like pushed me through levels of I can not only hold myself in the most difficult situation. And this is something saying, because I've actually accompanied my mom through cancer and her death when I was actually like in my 20s. That was, she was my entire world, right? So Germany was like fold much worse.
Yes.
With the level of like consciousness that I had. And we're having conversation, and I was telling you, I know that I see the vision of where I'm going. I see what I'm supposed to be doing. I just don't know what the path is, because it's unraveling as I put my, like Indiana Jones type of thing, you know, like that.
I love that image.
And we were talking about that, because like a lot of the times we're getting so caught up on the in the head on how am I going to go there and what, like, and then we kind of like trace very specific ways, and we keep ourselves in our minds, and when it's served us, it's even worse, right? Because we've built our scorecard based on those those process, right? But I was looking at my vision, and I was like, this vision is actually so bigger than me that I'm gonna have to lead from somewhere else. I'm gonna have to lead from somewhere else than my brain, because there's gonna be a big part of trust and at like such another level, such another, and I was trying to like build. I remember the conversation we had, like I was going back to, eccentrics and movement, and you were like, but you're so much bigger than this. And I was like, I understand this. I understand, but I just can't relate, and the more I was trying to like continue what I was doing before, the more it was falling apart.
Yeah.
The more it was falling apart. And then I was trying to make decisions that were actually like kind of like in my business not falling apart. But I was not the same person. I was vibrating at another level, which means that the decisions that I had to make was at that level, which meant that even if I was willing to uproot my personal life to come live here, I had never imagined, for some reason, that I would have to do something even bigger with the business.
Wow.
And it really dawned on me very recently, like, there's people that sometimes we're like, how come like there's a resonance in the feeling, and you hear somebody else say something and you're like, oh my God, this is the words that I was looking for, right?
Yep.
And I was, because we've talked about what's the why, and like what's the vision, and like, and the very cerebral one, like mine. And then I was like, it's not gonna work, because where I'm going it's on another level. Like this is not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then I came back. I love this. I don't know if you know Simon Sinek.
Yes.
I just love it. Yes, and I actually pulled out like his TED talk on finding your why, right?
Yeah.
And then I kind of like, because I've been thinking about like, for this grand vision, there's going to be some level of leadership that I'm going to up level and go and accept in my mission. And because apparently it chose me. And so I've been reflecting on leadership and what it is to be a good leader, and how am I transferring what I feel inside as I self-lead myself and lead other people, to not lead them because they're following me, to remind them that they can lead themselves, because this world needs that. Needs that. And he talked about existential flexibility. And I was like, I'm sorry, what did you say here? And then I read, and I wrote it down.
Yes.
I wrote it down. I'm going to read it to you. So an existential flex is the capacity to make a dramatically huge strategic shift in an entirely new direction to advance our cause. And it goes with having the courage to lead. And I just sat with that. I was like, okay.
It's such a short definition, but the words that he used, the cause, the direction, the courage. And I would like to bridge on this, because, you said the faith, and the faith for me is not that the step will show up if I take the first step, like the bridge will show up. That's not the faith that I have. The faith that I have is, even if I fall, there's no step to step on, I'll be okay.
I'll be okay.
It's even further than the faith that everything will show up. And if it doesn't, all good.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be okay. This is where I trust and I have faith in my soul and myself to get out of anything and accomplish anything. It's not even about the step. It's about me moving forward for the cause.
For the cause.
I love this. For the cause. My mission, my purpose, my why chose my soul. My soul is communicating it to me at the right moment. if I don't listen to it and I keep in survival mode, doing everything that I'm doing because I'm afraid, I am not honoring the cause. And if every soul honors the cause, the world we would be living in. Because seriously, we look outside and we see, you know, the advancement and technology and medicine, and everybody that created this honored the cause. For us to have roads and electricity and phones and internet, and somebody out there honored their cause, and we are all benefiting from it. And they have failed, and they have risen from their ashes, and they believed that they'll be okay. This is where we need to work on that space, that it doesn't matter if it shows up or not. It doesn't matter. I matter, and I will pick myself up. Not being afraid of falling.
No,
it's okay.
Because we spend so much time trying to not to fall. That's why I'm saying I sat with it, because I was like, okay. And we've had like, you know, conversation. You remember that coaching? You're like, okay, are you ready? Like for the next step? I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next step.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, I remember.
And it's funny because I sent a newsletter 2 weeks ago about that. And actually it was interesting because we started to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and I got the biggest trigger, like of all of our, that was like February, right? Like it was towards the end of our 6 months together.
Yes.
And I was having the biggest trigger, like of all the time. And I remember like, I was just like, okay, let's breathe. I can listen, and I can, you know, like, and then I was like, this is not going to work for me. I'm just, this is not working. This is not working. This is not working. This is not working. And then we finished that, and I just sat down and I was like, okay, I'm just going to calm my nervous system, breathe. And I went back and I said, this is not working, Claude. Like, I need to open new doors to make the lifestyle that I'm designing work for me, with me, through me. And that way of doing things, I'm getting like physical reaction from it.
It was big.
It was big. It was huge. And sometimes you're like, okay, like, am I doing this? Because I always ask myself, you know, when you have 3 burnout / depressions in your scorecard, because you are actually so good at overcompensating, overfunctioning, overgiving, like
adapting. Oh yeah.
You're kind of like, okay, like, and I'm putting boundaries. Am I putting boundaries there because I'm afraid? And that's why, you know, like, I trust that I can have my back, but like, am I putting boundaries because I'm afraid, or am I actually saying, no, I'm not going there. I'm going to find another way to serve the cause.
Yeah.
And so we've worked together from last year in August until February.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, like, there's enough stuff here that I need to like, and integrate and contemplate, really, like, how is this gonna, and I did other stuff, like, and I've, you know, like, I worked with Melissa for the podcast, and I like,
yes,
how am I building this new business with the new me at this new vibration, because what I realized was that I was trying to save something that was dying, that was dead, that was not serving me. And the more I was trying to revive it, the more part of me was like, yeah, but that's not what you want. But I was like, well, that's the way that I'm going to build on that. I'm going to build on that. I'm going to build on that. And sometimes it's just like, you know what? You just have to scrap everything and walk the new path.
And that the new path will be inspired by everything you've built. When we say scrap everything, it's not true. We are scrapping the strategy or the format.
Yeah, exactly.
But the essence of everything. Like I transpose this in food because I love food, and even though I don't make we love food. And even though I don't make the same recipe as my grandmother, what she taught me and what my mother taught me brought me to be the chef or the cook, or the the meals that I prep today, maybe they don't taste what they tasted when they made them. But the savoir-faire, the knowledge, the integration of all of this, they show up in every meal I cook for my kids, for my loved ones, for my people. It's all there. It's just we're not conscious about it anymore. We think we're not doing this anymore, the old way. Everything is there. This is why it flourishes. And that's why every step we take just adds a flavor, adds a spice, adds something. Because before this, if I had not known what curry was or what cumin was, well, I'm never having curry or cumin in my food. And today it's like, oh, I want to learn more spices, more things, more. I'm so like curious to discover what's ahead. It's not even like being scared. It's just bring it on. I want to taste.
Oh, I love this. And I think that's actually a wonderful way of ending this conversation for the podcast, because curiosity is one of our common values. There's a lot of values that we have in common. That's why we've worked so well together. And I cherish every moment, past, present, and future, because
yes.
And I know that you see that we're a mosaic of everything that we have experienced, every person that we've met, every little bit of light, darkness, colors, textures, smells, tastes that we have moved through. And that makes us who we are, and makes us who we are as a collective. Because through all of these little connections and binding and connection, we are so much more connected that we realize and that we actually remember. And I think that it's such a privilege to work with people like you that have in their vision to remind that in people.
Likewise. And this friendship is something very precious to me. Sometimes we just leave little messages and we connect, and it doesn't matter. Time doesn't exist in friendships. It's just sometimes seeing one post that you do. And so when I knew that you started this podcast, my heart was filled, and I'm like, oh my God, she's such in a good place. And remembering that not because I don't see it or smell it or touch it, that it doesn't exist. It exists as soon as you think about it, as soon as you have a glimpse of something. Create space to receive the code, to receive the vision, to receive the cause, because we just don't acknowledge these little things that our logic mind doesn't understand. Not because you don't see it, smell it, feel it, hear it, that it doesn't exist.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
What a beautiful
moment
spent with you. Lots of love, unconditional.
Unconditional.
Thank you for having me so much and being able to have this platform to voice my ideas, to spread what I have inside of me, because it is so important that every person knows that their voice matters, their story matters. Yeah, thank you for having this.
And you're doing it so beautifully. So you send me the bio, and I will read it now. And it's really interesting because this was the whole plan the whole time. And recently I saw it in something else and I was like, hey, because that's what when I actually listen to stuff, I phase out. I don't want to know what the person, I don't want to have any like etiquette or like tags or whatever. Yeah. And at the end, I actually just feel the energy. And at the end, I'm like, oh, this person is actually, who is this person? And I Google it. And that's why I wanted to do it at the end. So for more than a decade now, Claude has been helping high-achieving women connect to the most extraordinary part of them to impact their world and leave a legacy of collective well-being. After leaving a career in portfolio management following 2 burnouts and a depression, Claude believes that she finally found the balance she was looking for in her coaching career, until she realized that she was reliving all over again the same patterns of overload, overwork, and insecurities in her previous career. So she had to go through this path of healing herself first to finally guide women who overachieve and end up burning themselves. Today, at the head of the womanship, she supports powerful women to recognize their unique voice by respecting and connecting to who they are authentically. It is about walking on the path of discovering their true self to end the cycle of pressure. They can now enjoy an abundant, harmonious, and aligned life by recognizing their value and their amazing, unique talent. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sweetie. This is so precious.